Hello, I'm James Burke. Due to circumstances unforeseen, I am now permanently banned from Edinburgh, Scotland. But that's not going to stop me from creating the greatest documentary ever. Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland, was built on the remains of years and years of volcanic activity. It is bordered to the north by the Firth of Forth, and still standing to this day on Castle Hill is Edinburgh Castle. Or is it?
My name is Michael Wood. Now, I would be in the beautiful capital of Scotland, Edinburgh. However, due to a bar fight with some random stranger, I've been banned from the city. But that's not going to stop Michael Wood.
Excuse me! Who are you?
I'm Michael Wood. Who are you?
I'm James Burke.
James? Do I know you?
I don't know, you look strangely familiar.
Yeah.
No matter.
Yeah.
Robertson! Robert, you've been doing a double documentary again!
Anyway, as I was saying, I'm Michael Wood, and, Scotland. Edinburgh has some beautiful architecture. In fact, John Adam, a famous architect in Europe at the time, who traveled from Edinburgh all around Europe, influenced greatly by the Gothic architecture in Edinburgh. Now, at the time, Edinburgh was quite small. It was simply too small to support its populace. So, as an obvious solution, they decided to expand the city. So they held a contest. Every architect in the area was to design plans to enlarge the city. The winner of this contest was a man by the name of James Craig. Craig became the head architect of the city, a very prestigious position and title due to where he was. You see, at the time, in the 18th century, a time known as the Great Enlightenment, Edinburgh was the epicenter of intellectual thinking and philosophical thought.
As my dear friend Michael Wood was saying earlier, churches of the Gothic style influenced Robert Adams' work. Surely churches so magnificent as this would have a stranglehold on the way people were thinking. Or would they?
Actually, that is not necessarily the case. You see, during the time of the Enlightenment, colleges all over Scotland were having a sort of philosophical explosion. See, the conservative views of the church were not taken to heart quite as closely as the new liberal views of the philosophical thinkers of the time. One such philosopher was a man by the name of David Hume. Now, Hume wrote a book called The Treatise of Human Nature. This book discussed the different ways people of their time period and people of today can solve their problems. They can solve their problems externally through forces such as the church, paying indulgences and asking the clergy for help. However, there are also different ways that they could help their problems internally, by themselves. It is people like Mr. Hume who really put Edinburgh, Scotland, right in the epicenter of philosophical thought. He came up with ideas such as causation and induction. Causation, for example, is using logic and reason to solve one's problems. For example, if the basic formula of it is if A causes B, then you can find the root of the problem. For example, if smoking causes cancer, then the best way to prevent that cancer would be not to start smoking or quit if you have started. It is thinking like this that made names such as David Hume's so highly regarded and widely known, even to this day.
But there was something else influencing Scottish philosophy at the time. Nothing other than common sense. Now, common sense seems quite common to you and me, but at the time, people were quite pious. There were a bunch of sheep just being herded by the church. This was a time when people were finally deciding to think for themselves rather than letting the church think for them. A time when the importance of the virtue of self was finally being realized.
Another well-known philosopher was a man named Adam Smith. Now, Smith, his most well-known contribution was that of an economic sense. He developed an economy system that we still use to this day. Through his work, known as the Wealth of Nations, Smith proposed an idea of a type of economy where the people ran the economy themselves. And many people scoffed at Smith. They thought that this type of economy could not possibly sustain itself without the government laying its hand in it in some way. Now, obviously, Smith disagreed. And because of his relentlessness in his theory, we now have capitalism.
None of this would have been possible if it weren't for the Acts of Union of 1707, which effectively combined Scotland and England under the rule of one monarch. In the 1600s, Scotland made many attempts to colonize the Isthmus of Panama. This failed, and it left Scotland in economic disrepair. Scotland's economy was effectively restored when it was joined with England because of the easy passage through... Robertson! Focus! Because of the easy passage through the bay. And you. Come here. Oh, this kitty. Oh, I love this kitty. Oh, this kitty. You love this kitty? Oh, kitty doesn't love me.
Okay.
Scotland's economy was effectively...